Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of True Myths, One Lie, the game show in the form of a podcast all about myths, urban legends, conspiracies, all of the things that we don't fully understand. I'm your host, Anthony Mennella, and the way that the game works is 3 stories are going to be told, 2 of which are from people online that claim that these stories are true, and 1 that is completely made up. It is up to my guest and everyone at home to try and figure out which story is the lie. Today's first guest is wearing a one-of-a-kind Culture 35 merch for audio listeners. He's wearing a really old shirt that we made. We sold 0 of them, and I never bought one myself, and then we took it out of the store. So he is the only person on the planet to have this Culture 35 merch. And maybe someday we'll bring an updated design back. Who knows? Austin Murphy.
Woo! How's it going, everybody? I found this in the back of my closet.
Oh, so that's what my one-of-a-kind merch is worth to you.
Oh, why did you say that?
Today's second guest, I just wanted to take a second to say congratulations because he's getting married in 2 months?
About 2.5.
2.5? Congratulations, Zach Sicardi.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. Yeah, really looking forward to having all you guys at my wedding.
And today's third guest is unbeatable in Mario Kart. I've tried, it doesn't happen. My brother, Christopher Mennella.
Oh yeah.
What do you play?
Baby Rosalina.
Baby Rosalina. What a great character.
Because like when you lose to that, it's like, wow. I just lost to Baby Rosalina.
No, but I think Rosalina's like a super cool character, so Baby Rosalina just makes it even cooler. Anyway, we have to take a quick little break, but when we come back, we're gonna get into today's topic. We'll be right back. Relationships take work. All the time do we see people dropping anything to go help someone they care about. We go out of our way to treat other people well, but do we treat ourselves the same way? I always make sure to make time for me to just be me regardless of how busy I am because self-care is so important. BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to take care of your most important relationship, the one that you have with yourself. Whether it's watching your favorite TV shows, going to the gym, or even trying therapy for the first time, you're the most important person in your life, so give just as much effort to you as you do to others. I personally think that therapy is so important. It can help so much whether you realize it or not. It helps with my anxiety, and it helps me put all my thoughts into perspective, and that's really where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and True Myths, One Lie with Culture 35 listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/culture35. That's BetterHelp.com/culture35. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode. And we are back. Okay, guys, today's topic, we are talking all about something called crawlers. Are you guys familiar with this?
Not really.
Like Call of Duty Zombies?
Yeah, like a zombie crawler.
Not
Or
necessarily.
like creepy crawlies.
Creepy crawlies is a better
Or
way
like
of putting
a baby when they're crawling.
Okay, all these are really good, but
And
no.
creepy.
Have you guys heard of the rake?
Yes, of course.
Like for leaves?
Okay, the rake is basically a creepypasta that was made up by the internet. However, there are creatures that people believe that are similar to the rake that exist in the real world. And basically, they're these like pale, white, thin, very human-like, very creepy, bony-looking things. Imagine just like a really white, pale, creepy-looking, like, dead human.
So, a mirror.
Zach, give yourself some credit here.
Wow.
I was looking around like, who can I make fun of? And I was like, oh, me.
Myself.
All right, so if you guys are ready, I'll jump into the first story here.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I think I'm ready.
All right, story number 1. In 2005, a man was bringing the trash out in his rural home in Texas. He goes out the side door when he hears a weird sound coming from the woods from behind his house. He describes the sound as a weird exhale and squeal, and he thought that maybe there was an animal injured in the woods. The man went back inside, he grabbed a flashlight, he grabbed a shotgun just in case, and he went back outside to see if he can find out what was making these horrid noises. No one lived within miles of this guy's home, so he figured it couldn't be someone's pet. However, there were plenty of wildlife back there, so he thought that he was gonna have to go into those woods and unfortunately put whatever this animal was down. As the man walked closer, he shines the flashlight into the brush ahead, and what he saw was this weird, bald, pale white head, and this thing had a wide, gaping mouth, and it looks at him, and it makes that same horrific noise that it was making before. That's it, Zach. That was good.
Wow.
You can hire me for voice acting.
The man was frozen in fear when all of a sudden, this thing extends one of its long, thin limbs towards the man. The man immediately turns around and makes a run for it. As he's running, he takes a quick glance over his shoulder and he sees that this thing is chasing after him on all fours and it's about 7 feet long. He took a shot at this thing, but he missed because he was so frantic. He made it back to his side door, slammed the door shut, and then he heard the creature slam up against his door and start scratching it for several seconds before it eventually stopped. The man could barely sleep that night and he could swear that he heard that same noise coming from the woods all night long. The next morning, the man woke up and he went over to his side door to find the screen in front of the door was completely torn. There were scratches everywhere, and he took a picture of the door, he posted it online, and he received some feedback, and after hearing from some of the comments, he has come to the conclusion that what he has seen that night was a crawler. That is the end of story number 1. I'm gonna give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
It just sounds a little weird to me, gentlemen. How about you? What do you guys think?
Definitely weird. A lot of things here that don't make sense.
Yeah, there's not a ton of details, I don't think.
It just sounds like a made-up area. But on top of that, another hole that I thought I noticed was when he was running away, he was able to use his depth perception to an unreal, astute observation of it being 7 feet long while he's sprinting away from it. Is that what you're worried about?
Also, can we talk about how this didn't catch him somehow?
Sounds like they're pretty light and nimble, exactly. So I can't imagine like a normal man being able to outrun that. And making it back to his house and closing it just in the nick of time, and then it crashes into the door. I mean, that just sounds like something that would be made up in a TV show or a movie or something, right? So that makes me a little skeptical off the bat.
Gotcha.
He heard it squealing and he's like, oh, I have to deal with this. Like, why is this your job to put this animal down? Like, just mind your own business, let something eat it, you know?
No, he makes a great
Circle of
point.
life.
Yeah, no, you make a great point, especially when you live in the rural area with nobody around for miles. That's ridiculous to me.
Lives in the middle of nowhere.
Precisely.
Story number 2. This story takes place in a rural house in Kentucky. It's the kind of home where you would have to drive for 20 miles before reaching any civilization. A young girl around the age of 10 is playing fetch with a 90-pound German Shepherd who had just retired from the police force. The girl throws the ball. The ball accidentally hits a tree in front of her instead of going forward. It bounces behind her. The dog follows the ball behind her, so they're both out of her line of view. And then all of a sudden, the dog gets thrown from behind her in front of her. The dog hits a tree and is knocked unconscious. Just then, the girl feels this hard object hit the back of her head, and she's also knocked unconscious. She wakes up to being dragged through the woods by her hair. The young girl screams, which must have scared the thing that was dragging her because it lets go for a second and her head hits the floor. She got up and ran back towards the direction of her home, and she's running as fast as she can. She glances behind her and she sees this white, pale, bony thing chasing after her, and it is quickly gaining ground. The creature caught up to the girl, grabbed her by the hair again, and started dragging her once again through the woods as she is kicking and screaming the whole way. The creature drags her head into a riverbed and holds her under, trying to drown her. She then hears a loud cracking sound from underneath the water, and she realizes this creature has once again let go. She lifts her head out of the water to find her dog's jaw wrapped around the creature's forearm. The creature's arm now hung limp. It tried to pick up the dog, but the girl noticed that it couldn't. It didn't have the strength anymore since the dog had broken its arm. She ran off back home and left her dog to fight the creature. She gets home, she tells her parents what happened, and believe it or not, they believed her story. A day later, and the dog still hasn't returned. Day 2, still no dog. On the evening of the 3rd day, the dog comes hobbling out of the woods with cuts and lacerations all over its body. The dog also had blood caked around its mouth, and the dog ended up surviving and living for 3 more years after its fight with the creature. After looking into the encounter further, both the girl and her parents have come to the conclusion that the dog fought off a crawler that day. And that is the end of story number 2. I'm gonna give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
Can we talk about how many details were in this story from the
Right?
very get-go?
Very
Right?
different from the first story.
And many stories we hear on this channel.
Yeah.
As of right now, both either story 1 or story 2 seems like the fake one because it's making the other story look more real, if that makes sense.
It could be story 1 or story 2.
At this point.
Yep.
Can't be 3, but we didn't hear it
No,
yet.
not yet.
Great deduction.
We'll see after we hear 3. Yeah, so both stories have had that mile radius, and both stories have had that point in the story where it's like, oh, this is such a like perfectly written, where it's like the person barely survives, you know,
Yeah,
like right
yeah.
before they die, both times now. So it's like, ugh.
Right? I mean, that's kind of another trope, right? The dog comes in and saves the day. You know, that's also like a very common trope. So,
Right.
you know, that could be a play.
Ready to move on here?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to move on to our mini game.
Oh. Are we playing
boy.
Would You Rather? Or Guess Who?
Yeah, we are. We are playing Guess Who.
Uh-oh.
All right, so you guys know the rules. You get 5 yes or no questions, and the answer is going to be some sort of mythical creature. Ready? Go.
Maybe we should just have Zach think of a question
Oh, I
because
don't know about that.
we always ask the same ones though.
Do we?
So I just want to see if he can think of something
Oh,
new.
that's true. Yeah. So you could switch it up.
I don't know. I wonder, like, can it fly?
Yeah, that's usually one of the things we do.
Yeah.
It's like, is it
So
fly,
we're on the
swim?
same page.
He said, so yeah, this wasn't the greatest one.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
So first question, can it fly?
No, it cannot.
I think we should ask if it has like sentient type capabilities or cognizance, like a 2021 cognizance of a human being. It could read, it could write, it thinks on its own, or does it act on animal instincts? We could ask one or the others for a yes or no question. Because werewolves and stuff like that are monsters, are beasts. You know, Sasquatch is a beast, but vampires, they're like evolved
Yeah,
from
right.
humans. You know what I mean? So it could be something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Yeah, like, does it have, does it act on animal instincts
Yeah.
primarily?
We'll go with that. Does it act on animal instincts primarily?
No.
So it's pretty intelligent.
Okay,
It does not
that's good. That was a good
succumb.
question then.
So it could be vampires, but we don't want to go too early. And it's not going to be vampires because there's already
can it-
vampires.
Can vampires fly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, this is not flying also.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's not flying.
Right.
All right, does it stand on 2 legs?
It does.
It does stand
It
on
does.
2 legs. Amalgamation? Is there more than one creature?
Like it's 2 in 1.
Yeah, or even more than that. What if it's like a chimera?
But then, so
What if it's a centaur?
Centaur.
Yeah, a minotaur.
Yeah, I feel like our best guess right now is
Horror.
Is
We could
it-
ask
What about horror?
if it's a horror monster or if it's supernatural. Because minotaurs aren't horror. Not even close. Those are fantasy. Whereas vampires and werewolves are horrors.
Now that's a good question.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with that one. Is
Anthony approves. Let's go.
Yeah, let's
Is
do
it supernatural or is it? No, sorry, the other one. What's the
Is
other
it
one?
horror?
Is it a
Is it a horror? Yeah, is it a horror monster?
It is definitely horror.
Stays on land. It doesn't act on urges. It walks on 2 feet, and it is definitely horror. And we all do know it.
Mummies, vampires.
There are a group of people who would argue that this is real, and I tried to make an episode on it, but I couldn't find any good stories.
Oh my god. Then it probably is vampires, right? Because he tried to make an episode of vampires. He said he went on the Reddit, and everybody was just talking about how they want to actually suck blood.
That is exactly what I found. I just found people like, yeah, I crave blood. And I'm like, okay. So this isn't what I was looking for.
But it was already, question was already vampires before,
Yeah,
so.
you're on the right track, though.
Yeah. Could it be Slenderman?
I was just thinking Slenderman.
You're getting way more into the realm of what I'm looking for now.
Okay.
The what is it? Siren Head, like that genre of creature.
Has Closer 35 done a video on it?
on Siren Head?
No, on this monster. Is that what we should
Oh,
ask?
is that a good question to
Yeah.
ask?
That's a good question to ask. That's a good
Has Closer
question.
35 done a video on this monster?
Been featured once.
And we have one more question left.
Did you still have one more question left?
Do you?
I thought it was 6.
5.
You're right.
No,
It
it's
is
6.
6.
It's 6.
Oh.
It's 6.
All right, so what's that hint?
In honor of the 50th episode of the podcast.
6
We
questions.
got 50 questions.
I've seen Tom and Larry get like 8. I just need one extra one.
You're not wrong because I'm very lenient.
One more question, that's it.
Yeah, I'll give you one more.
Yeah, okay.
It was 110% a thing that as kids we were all
Afraid of?
aware of and afraid of.
What if it's like
The boogeyman? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's not the boogeyman.
You guys are so close.
Is it the Cookie Monster?
We never asked the scale or hair kind of question.
You guys hair? Does this character have hair?
It has long hair. Some say it covers its face.
That makes me think of like Cousin It, but that's obviously in a movie.
I can only think of Bigfoot, but it's obviously not Bigfoot.
You know what I think of? I think of ZZ Top.
Oh
think
God,
of-
we got nowhere.
Bigfoot, and I think of Yeti.
I gave you guys extra information.
It's not Sasquatch.
It has long hair, like, you know, most females.
Oh! We need to guess some women. Headless Horse Miss.
Oh my God.
I think I have it. I'm pretty sure I
You
got
got it?
Yeah.
What is
but
it?
I feel like I want them to get it.
Can you give me the letter starts with at least?
M.
Miss Mary Mack. What?
What?
You said it.
Mary? Like Bloody Mary?
Oh, it's Bloody Mary! I was
Really?
so scared of that growing up. Oh my God, I think it was terrifying.
It's Bloody Mary.
Bloody
So it starts with
Mary.
B then.
It starts with B.
You got the idea.
You gave him M and it gave him Mary. And it worked out.
You see it. You see it.
I was thinking mermaid.
That was you too.
Mermaid.
Mermaid? No, yeah, Bloody Mary, the urban legend.
Nah, he's definitely right.
Oh my God, I
Yeah.
am in that video.
Yeah, you're in
Or
that.
at least the bloopers.
Yeah.
I'm
don't
not too
even-
mad at myself. I'm really happy though. That was fun.
I'm
I
glad
love
we
Guess
got
Who
it.
so much. It's so fun.
I don't think you guys won.
Yeah, I don't feel accomplished.
But you know what? You got it.
I don't know if it's about winning.
Yeah, it's not. It's about the fun of just playing
Right?
Guess Who.
Yeah,
It's-
right?
It's not all about winning.
Not about
Hey, you're telling me.
Oh.
This is your chance to get your win before the show ends. This is your last opportunity here.
All right, better make it count.
You better make it count.
I'm eager to hear this third story so we can
Yep.
make our decision.
We're going to get into that third story in just a second, but first, we're going to take a quick little break. We will be right back. Relationships aren't easy. They take work, and people are always dropping anything to go help someone they care about. We go out of our way for others, but do we treat ourselves the same way? I always make sure to allow myself some me time because self-care is so important. BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to take care of your most important relationship, the one that you have with you. Whether it's treating yourself to a nice meal or getting a haircut or even trying therapy for the first time, you're the most important person in your life, so give just as much effort to you as you do to others. I think that therapy is so important. It can help so much. For me, it helps with my anxiety and helps me put all my thoughts into perspective, and that's where BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp Online Therapy. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and True Myths One Lie with Culture 35 listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/culture35. That's BetterHelp.com/culture35. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode. And we are back. Okay, you ready to jump into story number 3?
Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
I'm jumping.
All right. Story number 3. A man with very good eyesight believes that he encountered a crawler in the Sierra Nevada mountains that goes by the name of Penelope.
Who goes by the
The
name?
mountain
The
goes by
mountains?
Penelope?
The crawler.
Oh, okay.
What?
In 2014, this man and his wife were staying at the Twin Lakes Resort. They were loading up their truck with some fishing gear and getting ready to go out for some daybreak fishing. The creek campground is about a quarter mile away from the lake house, so they were taking their drive, and they've taken this drive hundreds and hundreds of times. They absolutely love it. It's always active with wildlife, and they're always on high alert for things like rattlesnakes. This particular morning, however, was a little bit foggy. It was still a little bit dark out, and they saw this weird creature about 50 miles.
He does have good eyesight.
50 yards. It looked really light and close to the ground. It was the size of a large goat, but it moved very oddly. Its limbs didn't move in the regular way that animals' limbs should move. They almost looked as if they were all broken. The man turned on his high beams to get a better look at it, and the creature seems to be irritated by this. It turned its long, human-like neck over to the car, and it was staring at them and its torso looked to be about 4 feet long. This thing had no tail. As they passed it, they saw that this thing was hairless, it had pale skin, and its limbs were very, very long. It had thin, very defined muscles, and it was sinewy. And although this thing was close to the ground, it had very human-like shoulders. It seemed to be running on its front knuckles or claws, and its eye ridges seemed to be protruding. Even stranger, this thing had a tight-lipped human mouth and a really large chin. The thing appeared to be grinning, but they could tell just by looking at it that this was no friendly grin. This thing looked really evil. It had very long, lean limbs, but it was crawling, impossibly low to the ground. The torso no more than 5 inches from the ground.
This is a joke.
And its limbs long.
Believe it or not, this thing was actually moving at an incredible pace.
Wait,
That really is the next sentence.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, dude.
The order of feet landing was completely wrong, too. It looked almost more like a spider or a crab.
How much time did he have to look at it?
Right?
He's noticed every little detail about this
Guy
thing.
has
dude.
great
Great
eyesight.
eyesight, Austin. Come on.
It's ridiculous.
The most disturbing part of this creature were its eye sockets. They were deep, red, but there were no actual eyes that were visible. The couple thought about following it, but decided not to. And that is the end of story number 3. I'm gonna give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
Wow, I cannot believe that.
The imagery in that story was unparalleled.
There's so many details to discuss there.
I feel like I was
it was
there.
low to the ground. It was long,
Light,
Low to the ground.
again,
skinny,
Low to the ground.
loaded, barely off the ground.
crawled.
5 inches off
5
the
inches
ground.
off the ground. Crawled several times. Fast. I will say that the story actually had nothing going on. Not at anything at all. At any point was there anything going on. It's just 2 people going up, walking out,
That's
seeing
so true.
something, describing what they had seen, and then leaving. You want to give us the recap? I feel we broke it down quite a bit.
Story number 1, man was outside taking out the trash. He hears a weird noise coming from the woods. He goes back there with a shotgun and his flashlight. He sees this weird thing. It starts chasing after him. He looks over his shoulder, takes a shot at it, it misses. He gets back to his house. This thing is scraping at his door for a little bit. It eventually stops, but he hears this thing making noises all throughout the night. Story number 2 is about a young girl, 10 years old, playing with her dog. She's playing fetch with it. She throws the ball. It bounces behind her. The dog gets thrown from behind her. It gets knocked out. This thing hits her in the back of the head, knocks her out. She wakes up to being dragged through the woods. She screams. This thing lets her go. She tries to run. She does not run successfully. It starts drowning her, only to be saved by her dog. The dog returns home 3 days later, and he's covered in blood and cuts, but he's safe. Story number 3, a man with excellent eyesight was driving. He was away with his wife. They were going fishing. In the road, they see this weird thing about 50 yards out in the distance. It's thin, it's low to the ground, it's moving all weird, and the limbs are bent and broken, and that's really it. Those are your 3 stories. I'm gonna give you guys some time to discuss. Go.
All right, so the first one felt like there was no details. The second one felt like there was too many details. And the third one felt like there was just nothing. With that being said, I'm not sure what feel on this one right now.
Well, personally, I feel like they're all fake, so it's
Right,
hard for me
right.
to distinguish which one is the fakest, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the first one, like I said, sounds like a very typical cliche kind of like monster story. The second one is too, in a way, you know, the dog saves a little girl, right? And the third one was just like so rambly and full of details that I'm really not inclined to believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, the third one, as weird and bizarre as it sounds, I could see someone on the internet like writing something that rambly.
So when Toph said earlier after the second story that it could be either story 1 or story 2, we narrowed it down, and now we're throwing in story 3 as well.
We didn't hear story 3 at the time. I just want to add that context.
Fair.
We narrowed it down to story 1 and 2 because that's all we had.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely story 1 or 2 or 3. Toph, would you agree?
Yes.
I know how I feel it is story 2.
How mad would you guys be if I was like, twist ending, they're all fake.
I
You
would
would've been
agree.
like, we knew that.
You guys win.
I appreciate the win, even if it's a softball.
I did it so Zach had no chance but to win.
So what makes you think that is story number 2? Is it all the details?
Yeah.
Is it like the cliche dog thing?
It's
Language.
similar to before, where it's too much language, it's too much detail, it gets you in trouble. Whereas the third one is the exact same thing, but it's a run-on sentence.
you have me leaning a little bit more back towards 2 though, because it was the closest encounter, right? Like this girl was actually attacked and dragged by this thing.
Physically grabbed.
I mean, and I guess no one was around for 20 miles to see that, but like what happened to her? Like what kind of injuries did she sustain? Like did she receive any kind of medical treatment? And if so, like how was that explained?
I mean, I'm back on 2, honestly. I feel like you're probably on 2.
I'm thinking 2. I'm thinking 2.
Blood caked.
Blood caked.
Blood caked. Zach, you want to do the honors for me?
I, on behalf of the whole squad,
Go half.
will lock in story number 2.
Guys,
Yeah.
would you like to lock in a different story before I lock in Zach's loss?
No.
No. That was the truth.
Yeah, it's story number 1.
Okay, that's fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Well.
Well, if you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to click like.
Zach, I'm sorry, but hey, you played a good game. It's been fun.
It's been fun.
Yeah. I'm glad that we could have you on at least one more time before it was over.
That's what you said. It's all about the fun. That's what you said, right, Austin?
It's about the fun and the friends we made along the way.
And it's about winning.
Winning would be nice.
Do you guys believe in crawlers now?
No.
There's no way this thing could be real to me. This is the way I'm picturing it.
I can show you a picture of what they look like.
Please do, because I got this crazy picture in my head. I'm like, y'all trolling, y'all.
Show me the one
Y'all
you used in
trolling.
your video.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you're listening wherever you get your podcast, make sure to give us a rate and review and subscribe to the podcast for free. If you're watching the video version, make sure to give us a like, leave a comment letting us know what you thought, and subscribe for more episodes coming soon. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Culture35 and on TikTok at RealCulture35 for some extra bonus content, and that is about it. Thank you guys again so much for watching and listening. We will see you guys next week for the second to last episode of True Myths, One Lie. Bye, guys.